Hello guys, my name is Koushik and welcome back to our Protector tutorial. In this video, we are going to talk about Jasmine. Jasmine is a behavior-driven development framework for testing JavaScript code. It does not depend on any other JavaScript frameworks or it doesn't require a DOM. It has a clean syntax so that we can write our test script very easily. We are not going to deep dive into Jasmine, but of course we are going to see some of the terms like what is described, what is it, and maybe few expect conditions. So this is going to be a very basic video. In our further tutorials video, we will talk about Jasmine, or we will use whatever the methods we have to use for our test script. In my editor, I have a folder called Jasmine, and within that I have created a file called learnjasmine.js. Now, before using the Jasmine, we have to of course install it, that we have already done in our first video, but still I want to show you very quickly. So here I'm going to say npm, that is Node Package Manager, and I stands for install, and here I'm going to give the package name, that is Jasmine. Now I'm going to navigate within my Jasmine folder, so cd Jasmine. Here I am going to initialize my Jasmine, so I have to say Jasmine init. But if you see, it says that command not found, because here I have used Jasmine I. That means it is going to install in this local repository, but to use that in our across system, we have to use the -g as well. So here I am going to say npm install and -g for global, and here I am going to say Jasmine. Now let's try to use Jasmine init again. So now we can see we got this as spec file, right? So here you can see, here we have a spec, and it's within the support, it has some JSON file like what is the directory spec and what are the specs file we have, and then a helper file and something, right? So no need to worry about this. This is just to show you how to initialize the Jasmine. When we are going to do this in Protector, I will tell you what are the things we have to keep in mind. As of now, I'm going to use this learnjasmine.js file. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep it very simple. So I'm going to create few functions like additional and subtraction, and based on that we are going to run using the Jasmine. So to run JavaScript file we use Node, right? But in this video we are going to use the Jasmine to run our JavaScript file. So here I'm going to create a function for add. So let add, and which is going to accept two parameters, a comma b, and this is going to return me a plus b, right? So here we are using this JavaScript ES syntax, that is arrow functions. So if you forgot that, or if you didn't watch that, probably you can check out my functions video. Now let me show you. This is exactly same like function add, and which is going to ask two parameters a comma b, and this is going to return us a plus b, right? So this is the exact syntax whatever we have written here. So both are technically same, nothing much difference, but how we are going to write our code is differ here. So I'm going to comment this, you can take it for your reference. So similarly I'm going to create let subtraction, so sub equal to, which is going to again ask for two arguments a comma b, and here I'm going to return a minus b, right? That's it, fine. Now semicolon is not needed, just in case if you want you can use that. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to call my describe block, right? So describe block is nothing but your entire test suite. So here I'm going to say describe, and within the describe we have to pass the description. So we have to pass the description as a string. So here I'm going to say maybe calculator, and here it needs a callback function. So I'm going to use the arrow syntax, and here I'm giving a callback. Within the describe block we have to create our it block. So it, and it is going to be same exact like your describe, where you have to pass the description. So I'm going to say add two numbers, and then it's need a callback function. So I'm going to use this arrow syntax again, and within this I'm going to call add function. So log and add and here I'm going to give 10 comma 25, right? Now let's run this. So here I'm going to say Jasmine, and here I have to give the file name, that is learnjasmine.js, right? So it says that one spec found. Okay, so one spec in the sense this is our spec. So actual one, it is one spec, right? And here we got our answer 35, and here we can see dot in green color, right? That means that our test has been passed successfully. And here I'm going to call another function, that is subtraction. So here I'm going to say sub two numbers, and instead of add I have to make this as sub, right? I'm going to call my add function one more time. So add two numbers, maybe I can say add numbers this time, and here I'm going to call the callback function, and within that I'm going to log again the add. So add of 1 comma 2. Now let's try to run this again. So now you can see we are getting the answers in randomized, right? So here we have minus 15 that is coming from your subtraction, and we have this 3 which is coming from your this add methods, and this 35 which is coming from your this console.log, right? Okay, but we want our test cases to execute in the same order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Jasmine and then followed by learn Jasmine, that is our file name, and here I'm going to say hyphen hyphen random equals to false. That means whatever the value, whatever the specs we have within our describe block, it is going to run in the same sequence. So if you see now, it's giving us 35 and then minus 15 and then 3, right? So if we have number of it blocks within the describe, it is going to execute in random by default. But we know that whenever we are going to write our test script, we have to run that in sequence, right? So in that scenario, we can use the hyphen hyphen random equal to false. But no need to do this in our protector, because protector by default has configured the Jasmine where it is going to run in the same sequence. Now let's try to run some of the expect condition. Expect is nothing but assertion, I can say. So we are going to do some assert here. So instead of log, I'm just going to comment everything, and here I'm going to say expect, and within the expect you have to say what are you expecting. So here I'm going to say I'm going to expect add of 1 comma 2 to be 3, right? So to be 3. So this is your input. Whatever the input is going to give you as output, we are checking that in here. So if this is going to be correct or true, then it is going to pass. So let me clear my terminal, and here I'm going to call this again, and here it says that um, 3 dots, right? That means obviously our test case has been passed. So let me make this as fail. So I'm going to give this as 4. So if I run this now, obviously you can see, right, here we are getting 2 dots in green color, which means this 2 guys has been passed, but whereas this F, this means failure, right? So within the failure we can also see where it is going to fail. So here it says add two numbers, that has been failed, and this calculator is your this one, so describe block. And here it also gives you like logs, like expected 3 to be 4, that is here we are expecting this value to be 4, but the actual value is 3. And also it gives you some line number, so you can use control click to go there, right? So this is the expect in Jasmine, and we have so many expect condition as well, so we'll see one by one. Now when I run this test case, we know that this 2 guys is also running, right? But this it block doesn't have anything to run here, it's just a block, right? So we can comment that, but Jasmine has a feature through which we can disable the test, that is using the X. So in front of it you have to make this as X. So X means it is going to exclude the test. So here I'm going to run again, so Jasmine and then the file name. Now you can see here we are getting 2 star, right? So that means the test has been skipped, and this one is actually our failure that is coming from here, right? You can also see here it says that disabled with exit and disabled with exit. So these two methods are disabled. Now let me clear this terminal, and here we know that this is going to be not 4, right? So to make this pass, also we can use dot not to be 4. That means whatever the value it is going to come here should not be 4. That is what this means. Now let me run this again. So here I'm going to call this, and here you can see it has been passed, right? Now assume that I don't want to skip this, but rather I want to focus on only one it block. So assume that I want to run this it block alone, but I don't want to run this. So obviously we can use the X, but we have another option as well, which is F. F in the sense it is going to be focused. Okay, so assume that you have 20 specs within your describe, but you want to run only one spec. So at that time you have to obviously add X to the remaining 19 specs, right? But instead of that we can use this F here. So F means it is going to focus only on that spec. So if I run this now, here we are getting this one, right? So run 1 of 3, that means only one spec has been executed. But if you notice in the previous scenario where we use the X, right, so that will give you log saying that this test has been skipped. But in this scenario, when we are going to focus on that, it is going to execute that alone and it is going to neglect the others. Okay, so let me remove this now and let me add this console.log as well. So I'm going to get all the logs here. Assume that you have a precondition where you have to run something before each and every spec. For example, I can say if you want to fetch data from your Excel sheet or you want to fetch some API request, then obviously you can use that using the before each syntax here. So here I'm going to say before each, and here you have to pass the action. So here I'm going to use the callback function and just let's log. So console.log, and here I can say I am running before every spec. Okay, so let me run this. So here you can see it says that I am running before every specs because before each is going to run before each and every spec. Similar to that, we have something called after each. So instead of before each, I'm going to make this as after each, and here I'm going to name this as after. Now let me run again. So here you can see before each every spec, and after that is also saying that I'm after every spec, right? So in this way we can use before each and after each for our all the specs. Similar to our before each and after each, we have also before all. So before all is going to execute for only one time, right? So here I can say log. So let me run again. So here you can see that I must run only once. We are getting this only once, right? So before all is going to run only once for each and every described block. Okay, whereas before each is going to run as many as the number of it blocks you have. Okay, so now we will see the real-time examples when to use before each and when to use before all in our protector script. Similar to your before all, we also have before, I mean after all as well. So here I'm going to say after all, and here I'm going to say once. I must run only once after. Okay, so let me clear and run again. So here you can see we got this as output, right? So if you know testng, this is going to be very similar to your test suite. This is going to be your entire suite, and these are going to be your each and every at test, right? So at test, and it is like your before method, and this is like your after all, that is after suite, and I can say this as your after suite, and this is similar to your before suite, and this is going to be your before method, right? So sorry, this is going to be, it should be here. So this is going to be your before method, and this is going to be your after method, right? So that's it from Jasmine. I think this is pretty much cool now. So we understand that what is described and what is the before all, after all. before each, after each, and also we have learned what is it, and within the it also we have discussed what is the use of f and what is the use of x. So f means focus, it is going to run only one test case from our describe block or multiple tests whichever we have given as f, right? So it is going to focus on that particular spec, whereas x means it is going to do the test case as disabled. Now we have to learn about this expect in brief, so maybe we'll see that in another video. As of now, this is fine. I believe that you have learned Jasmine, and if it's useful, give me a like and subscribe to my channel in case if you're new here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Tata, bye bye. Take care.